Hello, my name is Trevor Albrechtson, and this is my presentation for CIT 336. It's on for loops. To begin, I'd like to discuss what a for loop is. Now, as you can see here on tutorialspoint.com, it talks about 4 different kinds of loops that are available in PHP. There's the for loop, the while loop, the do while loop, and the for each loop. And as I stated earlier, this presentation is specifically on for loops. The for loop is a control statement in a programming language such as PHP, and it's used for iteration. And this allows code to be executed repeatedly. It's also used when the user knows how many times they want a statement to be executed. And its implementation in web development, as previously stated, the for loop is used when the number of iterations is known prior to entering the loop. And we're going to be seeing that in a couple of examples that I'll be sharing. The for loop is also available in many programming languages, but they may differ in syntax. They may differ also in how the statements work. And I mean, there's many ways it could differ. As for PHP, it uses a more traditional version of for loops. And on Wikipedia, I found out that there are various kinds of for loops. It has 4 loops, 4 different kinds of for loops listed, one being traditional for loops, another being iterator-based for loops. There's vectorized for loops, and then there's compound for loops. And you can see that, especially this one, looks a little more complicated than what a traditional for loop looks like. And I'll go into explaining what the syntax is and its use. So this is what a for loop looks like in its syntax form. There's the init counter, the test counter, and the increment counter. And then in here, you write the code that's going to be executed and shown to the user. So as for definitions, the init counter, which is the first one right here, and just to give a better visual, this right here is the init counter. And this initializes the counter value. So right here, it's x equals 1. The test counter, this evaluates each loop iteration. The evaluation continues if the loop proves to be true. And then if it ends up being false, then the loop ends. It stops. So right here, I have x is less than or equal to 10. And then lastly, the increment counter, this increases the loop counter value. So right here is x plus plus. So this will just start at 1 and it'll continue until it reaches 10. And so my example right here, we'll refresh the page. So you can see I have it echoing. The number is x, and then it breaks so that it starts on its own line. So it says the number is 1, the number is 2, and it continues on all the way to 10. There are some other things that I can do. For example, I can have it increment by 2. Let's refresh it. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, I want to start with 0 or a even number so that it does it properly. Oh, I think I broke it. Yeah, it's just gonna keep going. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is close this and get back to it. Oh, it's still. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I forgot. Sorry about that. So we'll go back to localhost. Why is it? Oh, crap.